Mm.
Yes, Mario. Hello.
Hi, Walter.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. How's Anna doing?
Okay.
Okay.
Hang on.
Good.
Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm, mm. Hello.
Hello.
Everybody. Okay, we're on the Mem Ches 48. Sholish Asheros saying 3 types of Asheros trees. Elon Shenotu Mitchila L'Shem Avodah Zara. Tree that was planted lechatchila for Asheras. The whole tree is Asur. Harez Asur. Gido, you cut a piece off and pislo, or from some of its leaves, L'Shem Avodah Zara, Vehechliv, and now new leaves grew. Noitil Mashe Hichliv. That which grew now, you have to burn. Because whatever is growing anew is L'Shem Avodah Zara. Whatever was in the tree beforehand is not. Hemi Tachtei Avodah Zara Notla. Let's say there was a statue placed underneath the tree and was worshipped, and then they removed it, then Arez Muteris, then the tree is muter after it's removed. When we say that anything that now grows anew from the tree, that's when you brought new branches or leaves and you grafted to the tree, then anything that grows from that is usr. I vanan gidu upislo tnan. That's just if you cut the leaves and anything that now grows from it, not with grafting. Elagitmar Rav Yanai linyan bittul itmar. He was talking about bittul. The afagav shehivrich v'hirkiv begufa shalila. even if you grafted a new branch onto the tree itself, if you just remove that it's enough, and the old tree is okay. Because I might have thought Mao is saying, it might now be considered like a tree that you planted lechatchila for the whole tree is osir. Kamash Malam, that it's not so. Only the new growth is osir. If you bow down to a tree, then tosafta asura. Anything that now grows from now on, after you bow down to it, it's asur. Mas Rabbalazar, Gida upislav, you cut some branches and or grafted, anything anew has to be burned. But the remainder is okay. Gida upislo in. Lo gida upislo means do some actual work on the tree. Bowing down to itself is not enough. Hamani, that's Rabbanon. They don't asr just bowing down to it. They require doing something physical to it. But Shmuel the Omar, Rav Yosef Rabbi Yehuda the Omar, Elin Shnatol v'Sofazu. We had this already before. Rabbi Yosef held that a tree that was planted even for no Avodah Zara, but later on was worshipped, then it's asr. Mas Rav Ashi Mimai, Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosef b'Toisef, Rabbanan b'Toisefes, Pligi, only with what the new growth is. Maybe Dilma Toisefes l'divrei kol asr. Maybe after it was worshipped, everybody holds it's asr. Uki ikaro pligi, uvi ikaro pligi. Regarding the root, not the root, the trunk of the tree. You have to destroy the whole thing. And that's Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Rabbanan Savri Iker Ilan Shari. But the trunk is okay. What kind of tree? Only the future branches are prohibited, but the trunk remains permitted. If you omer ilan shenot l'sof avdu v'chi tema hadlom misrat sinachim, they don't do this terich. So epoch rabbanon l'Rav Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, Rav Yosef Rabbi Yehuda l'Rabbanon im kain gido upislo manktani. We don't have any shita that's holding like Gida Uposel, Lo Rabbanon, Lo Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, because Ik Rabbanon, if the way you want to learn, even below Gida Uposel Nami Tosefes Asur, you want to say just from the moment, even without doing anything physical to the tree, it's going to be Asur future growth. And Ik Rabbi Yosef Yehuda Ik Ilan Nami Asur, even the trunk will be prohibited. So our Mishnah comes out is like neither. So the Gemara says no. Yiboy Seimer Rabbanon, Yiboy Seimer Rabbi Yosef. I can answer according to both. When does Rabbi Yosef say that below Gida Upislo Iker Ilan Asur, that even without doing something physical to the tree, just worshiping it, the trunk becomes Asur? That's Bistama. You didn't do any physical action in the tree. That's clear, like informing us that B'Tosefta Nichale, he's interested in future growth. And Be'ikar Ilon Lo Nichale, he doesn't care about the trunk. So it would fit. We can explain Rabbanon as well. Gida Upislo Itzra Chale. That was the Kiddush. Kasagadak Kivan de Ovad Le Mais Begufa Ikar Ilanami Litzer. Only if you actually did something physical in the tree would the trunk become usher. Kamash Malan, that the trunk never becomes usher, only the Tosefet and not the tree itself. Mishnah. Ezo Ashera. Kol sheyesh tachtei avodah zara. If underneath the tree is a statue.
Ernie. So what happens if you had in mind also to use the trunk as you said it straight out? I'm using the trunk also as avodah zara, not only the.
Then there would be a problem. Then it would be, we're talking about just stam. The trunk would not be included. But if you said I'm going to use the trunk, that avada would be also.
Okay.
So Ezeu Ashera, Kol Sheyesh Tachtei Avodah Zara. What is an Ashera tree? If there's a statue under the tree. Reb Shimon Omer Kol She'oivdin Oisa. No, you don't need a statue, just if worshiping the tree. Umaisa B'tzidin Be'ilan Shayu Oivdin Oso. There was a tree that was worshipped, Umatzot Tachtov Gal, and they found like a mound of stones underneath it. Omerlin Reb Shimon Badko Sakalazeh. Reb Shimon commanded them to check Ubadku Matzu Botsura. They found an idol. Omerlin Hoilu Lutzure Noivdin. They're not worshiping the tree; they're worshiping the idol. Naturally, and Sa'ilam, where the tree could be is permitted. So the Gemara Bichlal doesn't understand this Mishnah. What do you mean Ezeu Ashera? We just finished learning the Mishnah Va'anan Sholish Asheros Tzad, and we explained it. You could plant it initially as an Ashera, it could be worshipped later. What do you mean Ezeu Ashera? What's going on here? So Hachi Kamar. Shtayim L'Divrei HaKol. It means the first two alternatives, either was planted initially for Asherah or it was worshipped later on. Everybody holds of that. But the third way of having a statue under the tree, that's machloikes, Reb Shimon Rabbanan. Meaning, if you have an idol under the tree, that's not Asherah. But Reb Shimon, I mean, no. If you worship the tree, it's not Asherah. But if you worship the idol underneath it, the Asherah does not become prohibited. So Ezohi Asherah Stam. How do you know that a certain tree is worshipped? You see priests of Avodah Zara sitting under a tree, and they don't eat from its fruits. Mashma that the fruits are mukdesh Avodah Zara. Ushmul Amar Afilu Amri Hani Tamri Lebei Nitzrafi. Even you have a tree where people say the dates of this tree is going to go to this base of Avodah Zara, that's already us. The Rami Beishichra V'Shasi Lei Biyamida. What they do is they take the dates and they make it into beer and they drink it on their holiday, on a holiday for the Avodah Zara. The elders of Pumbedisa told me that the Hilchasa Kishmur.
So Ernie, an Asherah tree can be any tree. It's considered Asherah as long as you're worshiping it. That's an Asherah tree. There's no.
That's the machlokas. Yes, if it's worshipped, yes. According to the Chachamim, there has to be an idol underneath it. According to Reb Shimon, just worshiping the tree is enough to make it an Asherah tree. And then the other way, if it's planted originally for an Asherah tree, yes.
But it can be any tree.
It can be any tree. Then it says, Lo Yeshe B'tzila. Now, this is talking about shade that's not underneath the tree, right? The shade extends away from the tree, but there's still shade there. You're not allowed to sit in such shade. And if you did, the Yeshev Tohar, you're not under the tree, you're in the shade, but not under the tree itself, you're just in the shade of the tree, it does not make you tummy. However, lo yavar tachtea, you may not walk under such a tree. V'mavar tummy. If you walk underneath the tree, because it's going to be tumas oil, the Gemara will tell us, you become tummy. Now, Haisa Gozels Arabim. Let's say the branches of this tree extend into the Rishus Arabim, the over tachtea, you walk underneath it, then it's tohar. It's only a tumah drabanan. And the Rabbanon do not make a gzeira if it's going to take away from the public. So the Gemara says, Lo yeshu b'tzila. Why did the Mishnah have to tell me you can't sit in the shade? We know you may not benefit from an Avodah Zara, so sitting in the shade, you're benefiting from it. It's a davar pashut. We're talking about the egg. We're not talking about underneath the tree itself. We're talking about the shade extended beyond the tree. So the Gemara says, Michlal shemitzel koimosa im yeshav tamei. So what? If you sat underneath the shade, again, also not underneath the tree, but not the secondary shade, the shade of the height of the tree. Im Yeshiv Tami,
I mean,
So,
the
sitting underneath it is going to be. Yes, Mario?
the translation says shadow. Shadow is not the shade. Shadow is this. It's an area where the sun doesn't hit because it hits the tree first.
That's a shade. That's what's in-
The shade is underneath, really,
No,
right?
I've already stated, we're talking about shade extending beyond the tree, not directly underneath the tree.
Okay.
There's certainly going to be shade underneath the tree. But then because of the height of the tree, as you said, there's going to be shade extended. So so that's called the length, that's called the sailed sila, like a secondary shade. So michlal shabitzel koimosum yeshiv tomei. Does that mean you get tomei? Look more says low. Afilu tzel komosu nami yeshiv tor, because you're not underneath the tree. Hakamashma shafilu tzel sila lo yeshiv. But you're not allowed to sit there because you're benefiting. Other people learn this dialogue on the Sefer. Im yeshiv tor. Pshita, you're not sitting underneath it. We're talking about this extended shade. That means that you're allowed to sit there? No. You're not allowed to sit there, but if you did sit there, you don't become tummy. And the Mishnah said, but you can't certainly walk underneath the tree. My time. There's no way that there can't be something that was offered to the Avodah Zara under the tree, and it's metame even tumas oil. And since it's underneath the tree and you're underneath the tree, you become tummy, like walking into a room with a mace in it. Mani Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, the Tanya. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, oimer, minan la takruz Avodah Zara shemetame ba'oil. How do I know that something that's offered to Avodah Zara is metame ba'oil? Shenemar, that which is offered to Baal Peor is like zivchei mesim. Ma meis mitame ba'oil of takruvas of mitame ba'oil. Then we said that the shade that extends over the Rishus Harabim, the Chachamim didn't goizer there. Haisa goizas Harabim. V'over tachtei ator iboilahu. Avar. Is it only a b'diavad dikadin? He happened to have passed there. Then you're told. If you did it on purpose, oiver, you're allowed to do it and not become tor. Tame. So Rav Yitzchak Mishmei de Chizkiah Omer, oiver, you could do it lechatchila. Rav Yechon Omer, no, it's only imova that you're tor. But if you did lechatchila, you become tor. V'lo pligi. It depends if there's another road. And if there is, you shouldn't do it lechatchila. If there is no other road, then you could go lechatchila. Arba Rav Sheshes. L'sham. Rav Sheshes told the person who was carrying him, because Rav Sheshes was blind. Kimatis lahasu mariitni. When we get to underneath the shade of that Asherah tree, let's run very quickly. Why did you have to run? If there's no other way, Mishra says completely permitted, we said. If there was another way, why should he be able to run? He should go the derech achrina. We're talking about there was no other road. But Adam Chashuv, shiny. He had to be stringent, so they shouldn't walk slowly there. They should try to get out of it quickly. Zorim tachtea yirakos b'masak shami. In the wintertime, you could plant vegetables under Nashera. Because in winter, the shade doesn't really benefit it. Avalobi masachama. There, you're benefiting from the Asherah shade. So you can't do it in the summer. Vachazirin salad, lobi masacham, lobi shamim. There, the shade is good for the salad, the lettuce. Rabbi Yossi Omer, aflo yirakos b'masak shamim. You shouldn't plant regular vegetables in winter. leaves and other things drop from the tree and will serve as fertilizer for the vegetables. Rav Yossi Sover Zev Zegor Moser. There is a argument throughout Shas. If you have two elements that are required for something, one is a Dvar Heter, one's a Dvar Isser. What takes precedence? So, are you telling me Rav Yossi holds Zev Zegor Moser? The ground itself is mutter, but if it's going to benefit from the material that sheds from the tree, so you have two elements, Zev Zed and Zev Zegorim is Osir. But Rabbanan Armi Zev Zegorim mutter. Therefore, they have no problem, Bimasak Shami. But you can't say that because I am Chashamin. We've heard just the opposite. It's not. Rabbi Yossi Oimer. If you have a idol, you should you like grind it down and throw it in the water. Amr lo, you can't do it because it'll be like fertilizer in the ground. The nemar lo yidbek b'yad can't benefit from it. So you see, the Chachamim say you can't benefit from this fertilizer, even though the ground is mutter. They're the ones who hold zev zekor moser. Kasher Rabbanon, Kasher Rabbi Yossi. So Bish Rabbi Yossi, Al Rabbi Yossi loy Kasher Hasam, when he's chopping down an idol into pieces and he throws it in the wind, the Gazali Ibud, it's not becoming a benefit. There's no fertilizer. Matir. Hachad lo ka'azil, the Ibud, because it's serving as fertilizer, then he says also. El Rabban Kasher, how do we metarz Rabbanon? So Epuch, you have to switch the shitas that we said. And the way to explain Rabbi Yossi Kiddushani non, like we explained, but the Rabbanon Kiddu Omer of Mary Bread Rav Kahana. Masha Mashbich Ba'or. Poigim B'Basar. You have a Bechor of an animal, and you have to skin the animal. So if you do it in a way where you benefit the hide, but you damage the basar, it's like evens out. Mash mashbiach more poigim basar. Chanami mash mashbiach b'nevia poigim b'tzel means the leaves that are dropping on the vegetables are fertilizer, but this shade is preventing sun. So it's neutral when you add it up, and therefore you're not being nene from the Avodah Zara. So the Sav Rabbi Yossi shezev zegor maser, because you ended up not switching the shitas, and the Gemara though is not happy that we end up that Rabbi Yossi is the one who holds zev zegor maser because vatnan Rabbi Yossi oimer noitin yechur the or shel orla. You can plant a leaf from an orla tree. You're not allowed to benefit from an orla, but it's only in the fruit, not in the branches. So you're allowed to plant that. But they noitin ego shalor. The walnut is a fruit, and they shu pri and saser bano. If you planted this walnut, and then what grows, you do hivrich or hirkiv, you graft to another tree, mutter. Because zev is zegor, even though you have a dvar yisser, but the other tree is a dvar mutter, and what grows is okay. The Tanya Malach, we have another brayso that says the same thing. So we have a shita in somewhere else that shows that Rabbi Yehuda holds zev is zegor mutter. How can you say here, don't switch the shitas? Here we said Rabbi Yossi holds zev is zegor mazoser. So we'll have to resolve this tomorrow.
Yeah.